A lot of people get hung up here. They don't want to send the email. I don't want to bother anybody. If you think that you are bothering people and that stops you, I hate to say this, but you're not going to go anywhere quickly. Don't worry about other people's reactions because you have no control over it. So if you want to talk to somebody, make the first move. Welcome to the Game of Her Own podcast, a podcast about women who work in sports. I'm your host, Jahaan Blake. After 15 years of working for 3 major league teams, including the Boston Red Sox, Los Angeles Dodgers, and the Chicago Cubs, I discovered the one thing I loved the most was helping women in sports shatter glass ceilings and take their seat at the table. I loved it so much that I made a business out of it. I have the honor of coaching high-performing women in the sports and entertainment industry and supporting them as they go after exactly what they want in their career. So if you are feeling tired of waiting on the sidelines, done being overlooked for promotions, and you're ready to pull ahead of the pack and take your career to the next level, girl, I'm here for it. I also created the Game of Her Own podcast to support you as well. We are here to share the stories of incredible women who work in sports and entertainment. These leaders and trailblazers will inspire you with their success and the lessons they've learned along the way to the top. Ladies, there is nothing like women empowering women. I am so honored you're here. Hello, Game of Her Own listeners. Let's spend some time today, the next 15 or 20 minutes. We're going to talk about networking for career growth. Now, I want to help you with this. So, of course, I think you see a trend here. I've been doing it for the past 4 or 5 solo episodes where you get to download a workbook, a portion of a workbook that I have used with my clients, and I'll walk you through how to use it so that can help you in your career. I want you to hit pause. Now, if you're driving, keep listening. If you are walking, keep listening. Please don't do what I'm about to say while you are driving or walking. But if you are sitting down, I'd love you to pause this and download the workbook and the worksheet that goes along with this. So all you have to do is hit the download button. You have to submit your name, email address, and you get it immediately. Want to make it super easy for you. So that's all you have to do. And today we're going to talk about networking for career growth. Before I get into the networking opportunities and before I get into the art of networking and give you a few tips, high-level tips to help you get going, I want you to think about your networking goals. What is important to you? I think you see a theme here when you hear me talk. I'm always talking about what is important to you, because that's what's going to drive you every day. So if you are aligned with your goals, if you truly believe in them, they're not something that your manager gave you. It's not something that you saw on social media and that kind of inspired you, but temporarily, you really want to focus on what is important to you. What do you want to get out of networking? Do you want to find a new job? Do you just want to expand your visibility? So last week we talked about branding, personal branding. So do you just want to expand your reach and your visibility and make sure people know what you are capable of? I love that one. I worked really hard on that one when I was working. I guess I still am, but I worked really hard on that one when I was working for teams, because it's very easy to just get sucked up and only focus on the work that you're doing, which you should, but not expanding your reach and getting to know people outside of your organization and even outside of your industry. That's important. Think about what you want to get out of networking. And then I tell you, networking won't be as tedious for you. Plus, I'm going to give you some other things that'll help you. So the first page, it says to write down your networking goals. I gave you space for 3. Do not feel pressure to fill out all 3. It could just be 1. I love to operate through deadlines. So tell yourself, go ahead, write down when you want to accomplish this by. Maybe it's a year from now. Maybe it's you want to go hard and you want to finish something in 3 months, and whatever your networking goal is, what date do you want to achieve it by? I want to talk to you about some networking opportunities. We don't always take advantage of these. And it's funny, I hear it from all levels. So if you are just getting started, don't worry. I know a lot of SVPs are like, I'm never on LinkedIn. I forget about it. I'm not, doing a good job of branding myself. I always ask them, well, what's important to you? What do you want to be known for? And some of them don't have answers to that yet. And that's okay. So I've had coordinators, managers come to me. I don't know what I want yet. That's okay. If you listen to last week's episode, I walk you through how to define your personal brand. Then it becomes easier to figure out what your networking goals are. They play into each other. So now that you have written down or you have it in your head because you are out power walking, do people still power walk? I can't power walk. I have dogs and they walk me. So who am I kidding? So now that you're done with page 1 and you've defined what your networking goals are, I want you to think about different networking opportunities. I'm going to talk about 6 different ones. They all might not be the ones that you need. So I want you to pick the one that makes the most sense to you. Be realistic, be honest with yourself. How much time do you have to dedicate to this? We all have full-time jobs that we are responsible for executing on. So be realistic. How much time do you have when it comes to these opportunities that I'm going to talk about? So you'll see in the workbook that you downloaded, I love a good scorecard. So you're going to score yourself on what you do well or where you can improve in the networking opportunities you want to focus on. Don't pick all 6. You'll get overwhelmed. And then this workbook is either going to collect dust or never to be opened again. We all know about the informational interview. I know it can sometimes be awkward, but if you get someone to say yes to you, try it. I'm telling you, my first one was awkward. I probably was just fumbling over my words and I just had no idea what I was doing. As soon as I was done, I thought about how I can be better next time, better next time, better next time. And it's a muscle that I worked, and this muscle right now is so strong. So try an informational interview, learn from the people who are doing the jobs that you want to be in. It is a great time to do that. So if you are just starting out, regardless of level, if you are just starting out in the sports and entertainment industry, learn from others, set up a meeting. Maybe you do one informational interview a month and you talk with somebody who's at the next level. So say you're a VP, you might want to talk to whoever is the chief, has a C-suite, title in the department that you want to work in, or maybe it's adjacent to the department that you want to work in. We get so much information from others who have gone through what we want to do. So use it as a learning opportunity. It's exactly why I do this podcast. We can learn from all the guests in their career journey, lessons learned, the mistakes that they've made, their favorite failures, and also their successes when they teach us and when they tell us they're teaching us. So if an informational interview would help you, now remember, the opportunities I'm going over have to help you with your goals. So these are opportunities, we call them tactics, strategies. These networking opportunities will help you achieve your goals. So only pick ones that will do that. Industry counterparts, one of my favorite. Talking to people who do exactly what you do at your level. That's how I became involved with the fan experience service team. So we got together. I was on the committee, and then we started to meet annually, different ballpark each year. And we got together and just talked about best practices, had panel discussions, had anything that would help all of us grow. It's a great place. It's okay to share some trade secrets. It's okay because it only helps you grow. And no matter what, whatever someone's doing at one ballpark or one stadium is not going to work at yours, right? So put that into context with whatever type of work that you do. Talking to your industry counterparts is so valuable. And don't forget, you can talk to them whenever. I remember I was happened to be in New Jersey. I just want to see what the Mets were doing. So I Googled and learned that my counterpart at the time is Chris Brown. No, not the singer, right? That's why I was like, this is fantastic. I can't wait to meet Chris Brown of the Mets to tell everybody the story. But no, he is not Chris Brown, the singer. And we met, and that was 15 years ago, and we still talk. And so I just went in, I said, hey, I'm going to be in town. Love to connect with you. Love to learn what you guys are doing. Happy to share what I'm doing. And that's exactly what happened. He brought his boss into the meeting. It was very it wasn't formal. And we sat down, had a great conversation, was there for about an hour. And I continued to nurture that relationship. So think about it. Next time you're in a random city, can you go just meet with your counterpart? Grab coffee. Networking events. I didn't realize I'm an introvert. So if this was recorded pre-COVID, I would say I can't stand them. But post-COVID, I love them again because I actually do realize how much I miss talking to people and meeting strangers and just learning from somebody, whether they're inside or outside of my industry. So think about those 3 and talk about 3 more. Think about those 3. If those are areas that you need to focus, give yourself a score. Red, yellow, green, where you think how you're doing in that area. And be honest with yourself, because I can't see it. What do you do well? Even if you give yourself a red, what do you do well in that area? where can you improve? So you have a scorecard in front of you. And if you're driving, walking, cleaning, I love to listen to podcasts when I clean. You can do this later or just start thinking about it. The last three, outside your industry, that is critical. I think I've told the story before, but why not tell it again? It's been like 110 episodes. Outside of your industry, I was so excited to meet with my counterparts. We didn't have the same exact title, but it was close enough at Nordstrom, my favorite place to shop. So I learned so much from them. And I think they got to ask me a few questions, but I was so curious about some things that they do. And if it was a strategy, if it was something they did on purpose to help with our experience, I learned a ton. So who can you meet with outside of your industry? I always recommend get away from your office, run, get away and do a conference or some sort of professional development. And this isn't you go with your team. There is so much value in you going by yourself. You going by yourself and being able to talk about the work that you do and just hear from someone else and not have your manager, your boss over your shoulder, like jumping in. And this is for you. This is for your growth. So I highly recommend it, whether it's a conference where you go in and you're focused with everybody who is talking about the same type of work that you do, or perhaps it's professional development. So you're doing workshops and you are trying to enhance a skill. Maybe it's leadership, managing a team. Maybe it's public speaking, whatever it is, it's developing you. Great place to meet some people. And then last but not least, the sixth one, internally. Who do you know within your organization? Last week, we talked about personal branding. A couple of ways to get visibility is doing a lot of these different strategies. Informational interview, I think that's a good one, but you're really asking questions to learn from people. Industry counterpart, 100%. Networking events, getting your brand out there. Outside your industry, getting your brand out there. I think conferences and professional development help with it. A lot of times it's really broad. And I'm not talking about like your annual meetings where you see everybody that you know. I'm talking about conferences and professional development that are beyond just the sports and entertainment world. And then internally is another great way to help with your personal brand. Just have lunch with somebody. I loved meeting anyone new who came into my organization. I would love to grab lunch with them. They really got to understand what I did beyond my title. And half the time they were surprised. Oh, I didn't realize that you were responsible for how all of the frontline staff treats all of our fans. I didn't even get that from your title. I thought you did something completely different. You have no idea how many times I heard that. So who are you meeting inside of your organization? That's going to help you with networking. Again, what's important, we talked about 6, so let me just say them all over again. Informational interview, industry counterparts, networking events outside of your industry, conferences and professional development, and then internally inside your organization. So think about what your networking goals or goal is. Think about when you want to complete it by, and then think about these opportunities that are all listed in your workbook and which ones you want to hone in on and focus. So let's move on into the art of networking. I promised that I would talk to you a little bit about the skills when it comes to networking. This is what I go into deep with my clients. Once they have their goal, once they know the areas that they want to work on, it really gets down to the how. Not everyone's great at networking, and that's okay. I love it. It comes naturally to me, which is surprising because I'm an introvert, but it comes to me naturally and I love to do it. So let's talk about a few areas: the first move, the convo, the follow-up, and the nurturing. I give you a scorecard. I want you to rate yourself on how you do with these things. The first move, I'm going to tell you this right now. A lot of people get hung up here. They don't want to send the email. I don't want to bother anybody. If you think that you are bothering people and that stops you, I hate to say this, but you're not going to go anywhere quickly. Don't worry about other people's reactions because you have no control over it. So if you want to talk to somebody, make the first move. If they don't want to talk to you, move on to the next person. They don't respond, move on to the next person. Tip, I like to email people 3 times. If I don't hear back from them, then we're done. I just figure they're too busy to help me or too busy to be a client. Whatever the case is, it's 3 strikes and I move on. So think about your first move and just take some action. Rate yourself. What do you do well? Where can you improve? The convo, having the conversation and networking. Think about what you do well, think about where you can improve. Rate yourself a red, yellow, or green. A lot of people tell me it's awkward. And I tell you this, we only have 20 minutes. I'm getting close to end of time here, but I will say that the more you do it, the less awkward it will be. If it's something that you feel that you are very awkward, it's okay, but don't let that stop you. Keep pushing through. Yes, I was very awkward. Gosh, I'd walk to the car after and be like, what did I just say to that person? And half the time, it was never as bad as I thought because that person would follow up with me before the day was even over. So don't worry. The follow-up, make sure you follow up. One, if you email somebody and they don't email you back, it's okay. Email them 2 more times. Be respectful, but be persistent. 2, if you have a great conversation with somebody, make sure you thank them after, not just on the call, but afterwards. Make sure you stay in touch. Jot down a few things that they said that were that they are interested in, whatever it is, find that connection and make sure you just follow up, send notes. And this is beyond the, hey, happy birthday. This could be you were talking to them and they were excited about a project that they were working on, a client that they just landed. And maybe you saw some of that work, right? It's public facing. You saw some, send them a note. It can be very simple. And that's part of the nurturing as well. Nurture that relationship. Last thing I will say to you is start a spreadsheet or use a Trello board. I love Trello. I use it for everything. Check out Trello. I'll link to it in the show notes. Find something that works for you. And then I'd like you to make a commitment, a 4-week networking commitment. I imagine if you are still listening to this episode, networking is important to you and you want to use it for career growth. So I want you to commit. So in your workbook on page 5, you have your goals. And then it says, what steps do you need to accomplish this? So write that down right now. What do you need to do to accomplish your networking goals? This is your commitment to you, not to me. I don't know what you're doing. No one knows what you're doing. So it's your commitment to yourself. All right, my friends, love talking about networking for career growth. It is a topic that I go over often with my clients. If you are in need of support, you go through all of this and you just want extra eyes on what you're doing. I have 1-month programs. I have special programs just for people who are looking for a job and trying to figure out how to land themselves the job that they've always dreamed of. So I have special programs for that. So let's talk. Scroll down, you will see a link that says set up a free call with Jahaan. It is free and it is 20 minutes. And we just talk, 1, to see if we would be the right fit to work together. And then 2, what challenges you're going through right now and how I might be able to help. And I promise you, after the call, you will have clarity on how I can help you. You will have clarity on if it's the right fit. We both will. And then you can decide what you want to do from there. All right, my friends, it has been an honor to spend some time with you. A pleasure as always. As you go through this, please send me a message. I love to hear from you. Let me know what's working for you when it comes to networking for career growth.